It is time for the weekly rant, and here I am with my co-host Will. How are you, mate?
Hey Simon, doing good. Really wild news out there. The first one being that Twitter has changed its name to X.com. That has everybody pretty excited, but I think the more exciting thing out there is that Elon confirmed his plans for App X, as it's called now. And according to him, he wants it to be the most valuable brand on earth. And not only that, he wants X.com to be a financial app, meaning that users can conduct all sorts of financial transactions within what used to be Twitter and is now App X.
I like it in the realm of I think we always knew that Elon was going to move Twitter towards being a payment system. We kind of knew that. We always talked about this many times before. I feel about it wanting to become like a WeChat like China. I don't really know
Mm,
why he changed it to X. Like that just took away from the whole announcements about it being a payment system and all this other hoopla. Maybe I don't know. He's probably better at marketing
mm,
than me, but I didn't
mm,
understand why all that hoopla about X came about. Like he had plenty of other things going on about it. So I
mm,
see this as being just the normal progression that Elon obviously had before he even bought Twitter. Doesn't surprise me. It obviously excites me in the realm that he's going to integrate crypto into it. I think. Well, everyone assumes that. I'm not sure I've ever seen clips of Elon talking about that specifically, but
mm.
I think everyone assumes it because he's a fairly crypto native person. He understands it, and as you know, it's highly likely he might use Dogecoin because he does seem to like Dogecoin a lot. So I think that's the future of it. It's great if we can
Mm,
use crypto payments through X, not Twitter. But it could have just been called
mm.
Twitter, and that would have been fine too.
I guess it is. Yeah, it is pretty interesting that he did change it to X. I mean, he could have just started integrating the finance system, not just changing the name. And it got everyone wondering. Well, now what's everyone going to call a tweet? Is it is it an exclamation or what is it? So I guess that's kind of.
I
So I
think
X
tweet
you
is
yesterday or something. Yeah.
yeah. I think tweet is too well ingrained in the language now, so I think it will still remain a tweet regardless. It'll take a long time to change that, but I think the more funnier thing is like X is more related to pornography. So like, why would you associate your company with that? Don't know. Don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
Elon's doing
Mm.
Elon things, and I guess when you're one of the world's richest, you get to do whatever the hell you want. So that's clearly what he's doing here.
Yeah, I think he's kind of left a lot of the other social media apps in the dust because a lot of them have really been super focused on advertising, and a lot of the times they pretty much just keep the advertising revenue to themselves. It looks like he's slowly transforming Twitter into not just being quite literally a short micro messaging platform, a micro blogging platform to long form content and videos. And not only that, I believe he's started to share revenue with the users, but now he's going a step beyond that. And he's not looking to get revenue from advertising, and he's looking to get it through transmitting money. And he's talked about having Twitter be more like a bank. And this is not recent. This goes back decades when he started off with X.com, which became PayPal. It looks like the whole idea of X has stuck in his mind, but not only the idea, but even the name. And I guess here we are. It should be kind of cool to see what's going to happen and how the revenue sharing is going to work. And not only that, exactly how will he turn a microblogging platform into a bank? I think that's going to be, to me, that feels like two really different things. And I'm just curious how that's going to work. But I guess he's mentioned WeChat before, and I've never used WeChat.
Well, it doesn't sound that weird because how did a company that first made computers and then iPods and then phones all of a sudden become its own financial institution with Apple Pay? How did a search
Mm,
engine become a financial institution with Google Pay? So it's not really that big of a
mm,
leap. Those places, those companies, I should say, knew that they could move into this
mm,
financial realm and start skimming percentages off every transaction.
mm, mm,
So
mm,
this doesn't seem that new to me. Anyway, I think we've banged on
mm,
about that one enough. Let's move on. The other big news: WorldCoin has hit the headlines massively this week. It is a supposedly decentralized proof of humanity system. So it's gotten all sorts of people up in arms because it is scanning people's irises to confirm their humanity. It is a universal basic income by giving people out free money per se. It is an incredibly overvalued token, in my opinion, but it's made huge headlines. Will, what are your thoughts on WorldCoin?
I'm really excited about it, but at the same time, it kind of scares me. The whole idea of scanning everybody's eyeballs and then putting them on the cloud somewhere feels a little bit dystopian. And it's nice that it's on the blockchain, but at the same time, I'm not sure whether being registered somewhere appeals to me because once somebody is registered, you could probably do all sorts of things with that information. And they do claim that it's zero knowledge, but we don't know how that's going to work. And right now, it's just about registering. But then, what happens when you need WorldCoin to, let's say, prove your humanity to Twitter, Facebook, your bank account to vote? At some point, this tool that is supposed to free us might actually end up being something that forces us into compliance, into scanning an eyeball. And the thing that scares me most is that, well, for now, they do say that they will decentralize it. What if they don't decentralize it? But then what if it does give the government other ideas? What if this is just a scheme to spread all of these eyeball machines everywhere? And once they're everywhere, there's nothing stopping someone from going like, yeah, we did use it for this whole decentralized thing that we call WorldCoin. But now you also need to register your eyeball to the government by force for their new app. So I don't know what the end game is, but I do find it a little bit scary at the same time as exciting. It's
Definitely
probably pretty
exciting
cool.
as well because we've talked about before on the show that ID identification has got to be a big part of us going forward. And so blockchain can definitely help with that. And this is definitely a project that's stepping up to say, hey, we're going to solve this problem of proof of identity. So I think it's a case of let's see where it goes. Does it decentralize? Does it be a bit more transparent? It's obviously got huge headlines. It's got big people behind it. Obviously, people talk about Sam Altman. He's the guy who created ChatGPT, or one of the guys who helped create ChatGPT. So, some smart guys behind it. Do they change the world? I think we'll wait and see.
Mm, yeah. If they do change the world, I hope they change it in a positive way. Otherwise, it's like, well, it is what it is.
Otherwise, it's bad.
Yeah. I'll just move to a small country or island somewhere where
All
it's not
right.
worth sending one of those eyeball things and just live off Bitcoin if I can.
I'll see you there, mate. And just as they tease people, we have actually recorded a big deep dive into WorldCoin. So if you're interested to know really more about it, listen for that podcast, which will be coming out after the rant, not too long, where we go really deep into it. We talk about the investment opportunity there as well. So definitely if you're interested to know more, stay tuned for that. So moving on to the next bit of news. I don't know too much about this one, mate, but it is in here saying the US passes bill for clear regulations. So the US, what they're crypto friendly now, are they?
They're getting there. It's about time. A couple of days ago, they actually passed a bill saying, hey guys, we actually need to clarify some of these regulations because let's be honest, the SEC has just been running rampant and just going crazy on everything. They haven't provided any guidance at all to all of these projects, and it's pretty much been going after everybody. What this bill has done is that it hasn't created any rules, but it has said that the Commodities and Futures Trading Commission and the SEC need to both come together and they need to look into NFTs and DeFi's and crypto as a whole. And once they've done those two things, they need to come out and establish clear criteria that states whether something is a security or a commodity with if you in that if you do release a token that has its properties, it's going to be registered as a commodity, and if you do release a token and has its properties, it's a security or it's a currency. And governments typically move slowly, but I think what's encouraging is that they finally come out and they're going to put some rules here so that the Americans can at least know what the hell is going on. Which so it's good. It's good if good news if you're an American, and it's good
And
news for all of us,
obviously,
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously America has a lot of money, so if they've got clear rules, it helps them. But as I understand, it's not actually law or anything passed yet. This is just proposals at this point in time. So
Mm,
it's not
mm,
law. It's not approved yet. So we'll have to wait and see. But still
mm.
on the US in general, and I kind of get pretty excited by this. Robert Kennedy Jr., he is a presidential candidate for the Democrats coming up. He is very pro crypto. He is doing the talk show rounds, as I guess all these kind of guys do, talking about he wants the US Treasury to hold Bitcoin as a reserve.
Wow.
He wants to scrap CGT on Bitcoin so people can use it in day to day transactions without incurring capital gains tax. And he also personally owns Bitcoin and he buys it for his children. So, a very
Mm,
pro crypto enthusiast, maybe just Bitcoin at this point in time, which is fine. That's where everyone kind of has to start. And from a government perspective, maybe Bitcoin's the only one they should be talking about. But that's pretty big when you've got presidential candidates talking
mm.
very positively about crypto.
It's kind of mental that just a couple of years ago, uh, the whole notion that Bitcoin was going to zero was the public zeitgeist, and that it was a big scam and all of this. And now, like you just said, politicians are coming out and saying, "Hey, I think we actually do need to put crypto in the treasury, and it needs to be legal, and we need clarity." I suspect what's probably going to happen is that if these politicians do get more support, other politicians are going to come out from the woodworks and say, "Hey, I've always loved Bitcoin. I want to see Bitcoin in the treasury." And they probably won't end up doing it for a couple of years. But then I think it's nice to see that the whole persona and the whole sort of like branding of Bitcoin is changing, and that it's actually something that is cool to say as a politician. And this might even spread to other countries. Who knows? Maybe in 10 years, maybe even less, we might start seeing Bitcoin in other countries' treasuries. Before Nayib Bukele did it, it would have been insane to even say that a country is going to hold Bitcoin in its treasury. Now, there's at least one country that's doing it. Who knows how many countries in the next couple of years?
Yeah, and Nayib Bukele being the president of El Salvador, he made Bitcoin a what was it? Just the currency for the
Legal,
country, was it? Legal tender. That's the
legal,
correct word. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, legal
Yeah.
tender. He created Bitcoin City and all of that, and yeah, and
So
every
yes.
yeah.
Go
Mhm.
ahead. Go ahead.
Every shop in El Salvador is mandated to accept Bitcoin uh, if you want to purchase anything with Bitcoin. So it's legal tender, but it's also mandated to accept it, just like any other legal currency.
Yeah, so slowly, slowly, but then everybody all at once kind of thing is happening.
Mhm.
And speaking of heads of states, we are now going to talk about the Japanese PM, Fumio Kishida. What did he have to say, mate, this week?
He's really good and really positive message about crypto, and this was in a crypto conference in Japan. And according to him, he believes that Web3 has the potential to transform the internet. And he believes that by putting a bit of money and support into this industry, it will lead to social change. I do agree with him in that it is changing things socially. First of all, in terms of just really cool things like NFTs, but then beyond that, currencies and commodities, all of these things that are currently Web 2 could move into Web 3 and be trustless. So there's a lot of things that Web 3 can do for society, and it looks like he's seeing it. And the really cool thing is that just like Kennedy Jr., looks like the PM of Japan is also crypto friendly, and it's kind of nice to see countries changing their tune. This is really cool, really bullish, and long term. This for me is bullish for the next 10 years, whether the price is going up or down. Prime ministers and people like that talking about Bitcoin is a really bullish sign for me.
Absolutely, and we're going on to price action now, which has been fairly flat over the week. We haven't really seen much up or down. Bitcoin still below 30K, Ethereum still below 2K, so we're just range bound. But what we're seeing is macro events are starting to change. We're starting to see changing of narratives. BlackRock ETF news. That I think that's got to be resolved in another month's time. So I'm sure we'll be talking about that not too long as well. But all these positive news effects are starting to come along. XRP's security case, all these good momentum things are coming along. And so we're starting to feel that, beach ball underwater effect here. Sooner or later, it's going to explode out. The Bitcoin halving, that's always a nice big narrative coming up. So we're still seeing all this positive attitudes around it. step back to a year ago when everybody was just absolutely scared. There was just fear everywhere. Everything was collapsing, bankruptcies everywhere. Whereas now, positivity in the news about it. There's just so much goodness going on in the space that it's hard not to start feeling excited about it.
Mm. I feel the same excitement as well, Simon, and I'm still accumulating a lot of these different tokens. I'm really excited. And July has been fairly bullish. I think we've reached a new high. But I feel like August and September might not be as exciting. We might be in a sideways market, slightly downtrend, just based on previous history of how crypto does in uh, towards the end of July and through August and September. It's not usually as exciting, but usually in the middle of September, it starts to peak up and ramp up as we head towards December, and the prices get exciting. So it looks like we might see the sideways market for a little bit, and come September, probably something really cool and new highs.
Potentially, well, not new highs, but obviously breaking through this 30K kind of range and pushing towards
Mm,
more 40K is probably what you're meaning there as far as new highs. But I think what I'm seeing now is that people need to start making their positions known now. I think there's so
mm,
much evidence now and sentiment is changing that you should really have yourself pretty well positioned now. So
mm.
I never say, put all your money in. You should always have some on the sidelines for something on the, big dips or new projects that you might want to put your money in towards. Only a small percentage, obviously, but people who are still sitting on the sidelines waiting with a large amount of cash, waiting for the right moment, I think you might find yourself waiting with nothing there for you. So it's time to start deploying. I feel it's time to start getting your positions into the coins that you really have conviction in.
Oh yeah, and perhaps maybe to add on to that, getting positioned and getting into the market, but also before the emotions start running wild, it's also really important to set exit strategies as well, and just have them out now before things get super exciting and everybody forgets that we were ever in a bear market, because that's probably what's going to happen, because that's what's been happening forever. I for one know that at some point within the next 2 years, I'll just have sort of like dollar signs in my eyes and just thinking this will go on forever. The good thing is that I will have my exit strategy, and regardless of how I feel about the bull market, I will be taking money out. And I think it's something really important to remember and to set ourselves mentally for before the start of the bull.
Absolutely, yeah. Having your exit strategy now is important because when everybody's going crazy for it, it's very hard to press that sell button. And so you kind of got to set that early and stick with it because emotions take control. And if you deviate from your plan too much, you could find yourself holding a bag that's gone worthless. So definitely something to think about. Definitely something we might talk a bit more about in the future. But I think that is the end of the weekly wrap for us, guys. So thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you made it this far, please like, please subscribe, please comment, give us any feedback so we can get this word out to as many people as possible. Thanks for joining us, Will.
Thanks, Simon. See you next time.